Okay. So, hello everyone. Myself Jyoti Agnihotri. I'm your biology teacher. So, in today's session, we are going to discuss cell chapter. Okay. So, before moving to this chapter, I would like to suggest you one thing. Please try to understand this chapter carefully because you are going to learn this chapter in grade 9 and grade 11 as well if you take bio, right? So in today's session, I will try to clear your basics so that you will not face difficulty in higher grades, right? So let's move on to the chapter. So what are the topics that we are going to cover? So first is of course introduction of cell, then how cell discovered. After that we will discuss about the cell theory, and after that we discuss the different shapes of cell, size and their number, and finally the cell structure. Okay, so yes, whenever I heard this term cell, the first thing come in our mind that is remote cell. Okay, but in today's session, we are not going to discuss about the remote cell, okay? We are going to discuss about the cells that is present in living organisms, okay? So, let's take example of our house, right? So, we know, like in our home, there are different rooms present, yes? Hmm. Different rooms present, like drawing room, kitchen, bathroom, and we know like each room has its function, yes? So, when we look around our room, we will observe, suppose this is your room, okay, and this is our home, right? So, whenever we will look around our room, we will see like our rooms are made up of walls, right? And when we look around our wall, we will observe like our walls are composed of bricks. Yes or no? Yes, composed of bricks. So, can we say like this brick is the building block of our house? Yes, of course, we can say like this brick is the building block of our house. Of our home. Right. Similarly, our body. Okay. This cell is the building block of our body. Right. So, see, all the living organisms which is present on earth are made up of cells. That's why we say like the cell is the building block of life. Okay, or we can say like cell is the basic structural unit of life, right? So yes, now cell is the basic structural unit, but how does it the functional unit? Okay, so how does we say like the cell is the functional unit of life? Okay, so we know like in living organisms, suppose let's say take example of our human beings. Okay, so in human beings there are billions or trillions of cells are present, right? There are billions or trillions of cells are present. So suppose this is a cell, and we know like the cells are organized in a particular level of organization. Okay, the cells are organized in different level of organization. Yes, so this is a cells, and among these billions or trillions of cells, there will be some cells which are performing the same function. So those cells which are performing the same function comes together and they form a group. Okay. And this group of cells are known as tissue, right? And when these different tissues come together, they form tissue system. Sorry, organ. They form organ, right? So can you give me some examples of organs? Like your liver, right? like your heart, your kidney. These are all examples of organs, right? And when these different organs comes together, they form organ system, like your excretory system, yes, and circulatory system, right? These are all organ system which is present in our body. And when this organ system come together, what they form? They form our organism, right? See, so let's take the example of heart. Like we know, like organs are specific for their function, and in our body, like there are various processes take place, right? Like circulation of blood and excretion of waste and nutrition, respiration. There are various processes take place, which is essential for an organism to stay alive. So, who is performing those functions? These organs are performing those functions. Suppose, uh, let's take the example of heart. So what is the function of heart? Heart is responsible for circulation of blood. Now, we know this heart is an organ. Yes. So we know like this heart is definitely made up of different type of tissues. And the tissues are made up of cell. Right. So that's how they have different level of organization. So like we know like heart is responsible for circulation of blood. Responsible for circulation of blood. So inside the heart, who is actually doing this function? Your cell, your heart cell is actually doing this function of circulation of blood. Okay, who is doing this function? Heart cell. Okay, so cell is the one in which all these activities is taking place. That's why I'm saying like the cell is the functional unit of life. So, like all the living organisms are made up of cells. That's why I'm saying like the cell is the basic structural unit, and all the functions, whether it is respiration, circulation, excretion, nutrition, digestion, all the function is taking place inside the cell only. That's why I'm saying like cell is the functional unit of life. So how we define cell? Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. And because all the basic function is occurring in the cell. That's why I'm saying like it is a fundamental, it is very basic unit. Okay. So the entire function of living organism begins from the basic unit that we called as cell. That's why it's called as the fundamental unit of life. Okay. Now, so now we know about the cell. Let's move on to the next topic, that is discovery. So who discovered the cell? First time, the Robert Hooke discovered the cell. How? So what he did, he took a thin slice of cork. Now what is cork? See, the cork is the outer covering of the bark. Okay, so he took the thin slice of cork and he observed under his self-designed microscope. And what he examined? He examined a small boxes or compartments inside this cork. Okay, so he point the name to these compartments as cell. Okay, so the Robert Hooke discovered and coined the term cell in 1665. Okay, but here one thing you need to remember: the cells that were discovered by the Robert Hooke were the dead cells. These cells are dead cells. So, if examiner asks who discovered the cell for the first time, that your answer will be Robert Hooke. Okay, your answer will be Robert Hooke. But if examiner asks who discovered first living cell, okay, then if you mention this answer Robert Hooke, then it will be wrong. Okay, so the Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, that is another scientist who discovered the first living cell in 1674. Okay, please remember this. It is actually important. Okay, So if examiner asks, who discovered the cell? Okay, then your answer will be Robert Hooke. But if examiner asks, who discovered the living cell? Then your answer will be Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Okay. Now, see, because due to the invention of this microscope, the scientists were very excited to see like what actually present inside the cell. Okay, so this Robert Brown have discovered the nucleus in 1831. Now, what is nucleus? See, when you will study of cell, so you will observe like inside the cell there are various compartments are present which are specific to their function. Okay, and these compartments are actually known as organelles. Okay, so nucleus is one of them. So who discovered this nucleus? Robert Brown discovered this nucleus in 1831. Okay, after that, the Purkinje, he discovered the term protoplasm. He discovered the term protoplasm in 1839. Now, what is protoplasm? Actually, it is your living content. It is your living content of cell. We will study about this. Okay, don't worry. It is the living content of cell which is surrounded by plasma membrane. Okay, so the Purkinje has coined the term protoplasm in 1839. So this is all about the discovery. After that, three scientists came. One is Sheridan, Schwann, and Rudolf Virchow. Okay, and they have postulated the cell theory. Okay, they have proposed the cell theory. Okay, so what happened? Like the Sheridan and Schwann were studying about the plant and animal cells respectively. Okay, now the Sheridan said like plants are made up of different type of cells. Okay, Schwann said no, not only plant, even animals are also made up of cells, and they are surrounded by the outer covering that is known as cell membrane. So, based on their study, the Sheridan and Schwann both together proposed the cell theory. Okay, but they failed to explain like how new cells arises from the new cells. Okay, so how new cells arises from the how the new cells arises basically. So now then after that Rudolf Virchow came into the picture. So he he explained it. He said all the new cells arises from the pre-existing cells. He said all the new cells arises from the pre-existing cells. But how? See, by the process known as cell division. When you enter in higher grade, you will study about cell division. So what happened? Suppose this is your cell. Okay. So this is your cell. Okay. This cell will divide into two cells. Okay. Now this cell will divide into two further cells, two parts, and this part will become new cell. Now this cell will divide further into two parts and they will become new cell. Okay, that's how the new cell arises from the pre-existing cells. Okay, so they Sheldon and Schwann basically failed to explain like how new cells are arising. Okay, so this one basically this Rudolf Virchow was able to explain this, right? So this Rudolf Virchow modified this theory which was given by the Sheldon and Schwann. Okay, so these are all the three postulates of cell theory. First is all living organisms are composed of one or more cells. Second is the cell is the basic unit of life. And third is the new cell arises from the pre-existing cells, right? Now, Our next part, that is the organisms show variety in cell number, shape, and size. So, what do you think? Like in all the organisms, the number of cells are same? No. Even you will see it's like there are some organisms in which only single cell is present. Okay, while there are other organisms in which billions or trillions of cells are present, right? So, on the basis of cell number, the organisms, on the basis of cell number, the organisms are divided into two categories. Organisms are divided into two categories. Okay, one is your unicellular organism, another one is your multicellular organism. Okay, so one is your unicellular organism, another one is your multicellular organism. So unicellular organisms are those organisms which are made up of only single cell or one cell, right? And multicellular organisms are those organisms which are made up of more than one cell. It can be two, three, hundred, billions, trillions, right? But more than one, made up of more than one cells, right? For example, your bacteria, okay? Bacteria are single celled organism, and amoeba. Amoeba is also single celled organism, right? Here I talk about multicellular examples. So it is your plants and animals, right? Now, so on the basis of cell number, the organisms are divided into two categories. One is your unicellular organism, another one is your multicellular organism. Now, organisms also exhibit variety in their cell shape. If I talk about human, so in human, you will also observe different type of cells, okay, having different shapes. And even the shape and size of any cell will depend upon their functions as well. So here, if I talk about this cell, this is a nerve cell. This is a nerve cell. Okay. So what is the function of nerve cell? Actually, it's a part of our nervous system. It helps in transfer of signal from one place to another place, right? Okay. So based on their function, like that's why they have this branched and elongated structure. What is the shape of this nerve cell? Branched and elongated. Here you can see it is elongated now. Now, this is a smooth muscle cell. It's a type of muscle cell. Here you can see the ends of this muscle cell is, the end of this muscle cell is pointed, right? And the middle portion is wide. So this shape is known as spindle shape. This is a spindle shape. Okay. Here you can see this. This is the ovum or female gamete. This is spherical in shape. Yes. This is a spherical shape. Okay. So now you can see here, like even in human single organism, okay, the different type of cell shape is present. Okay. So now moving on to the next, that is cell size. Okay. See, in different organisms, this cell size also can vary. Okay. So if examiner will ask like what is the smallest cell in the world, then what will be your answer? Yes, what will be your answer? That is mycoplasma. That is that is mycoplasma. Okay, that is your mycoplasma. And this mycoplasma are nothing but it is bacteria. It is a type of bacteria. Okay, and this mycoplasma is also known as PPLO. So what do you mean by this? Like what is the full form of this PPLO? Fluoro, fluoro, pneumonia, like organism. Fluoro, pneumonia, like organism. This is the full form. And if examiner asks like what is the largest cell in the world, that is your ostrich. That is your ostrich egg. Okay. So this is the egg. Okay, of ostrich. Okay. Egg of ostrich. This is the largest cell. So smallest cell is your mycoplasma. Okay, and it is nothing but a bacteria, and it is also known as PPLO, pleuropneumonia-like organism. And if I talk about the largest cell, so the largest cell in the world is the ostrich egg, and it is important. It can be asked in MCQs. Okay. Now moving on to the cell structure. So this is the animal cell and this is a plant cell. See, you don't need to draw this much complex diagram in your exam. Okay, so you can make simple diagram, but one thing you need to remember, like the labeling should be correct. Okay, so please remember this. You should label all the different components of the cell correctly, right? Otherwise, examiner will deduct your marks. Okay. Yes. So now we will talk about the different components of the plants or of the cell, right? So first, let's see the basic structure of the cell. Okay. See. Um, so suppose I'm taking shape. So this is our yes. So here you can see this outer covering of the cell. What we call them? What we call this outer covering? As a plasma membrane. Okay. And this plasma membrane we call as PM. And sometimes we call it as a cell membrane also. PM and CM. Okay. But it is not your prime minister and chief minister. Okay. It's a part of your cell. So, yes, okay. Yes. CM. Right. Now, but see, in case of animal, if I talk about animal, so the outermost covering of cell is your plasma membrane, right? But if I talk about plant cell, okay, in plant cell there is additional protective layer, or we can say it is like Z plus security in plant. Okay, so additional layer is present outside the plasma membrane. Okay, that we known as cell. That we known as cell. Also, in plant, you will see there is an additional layer present which lies outside this plasma membrane. Okay, so this is a cell. Okay, and it is the dead part of plant cell. Actually, it is dead. So it is only present in some organisms. Okay, other than plant, there are some other organisms as well in which it is present. The cell wall is present, right? So this is our plasma membrane, which is the outermost covering in case of animal, and the cell wall is the outer covering of plant cell in like plant cell and in other organisms, right? Now, inside the plasma membrane, you will, or inside the, yes, inside this plasma membrane, you will observe there are different compartments are present, right? And these different compartments have a specific function. And we call these different compartments as cell organelles. Okay, so this round structure which is present inside the cell, that is a nucleus. Okay, that is the nucleus. Okay, and you can see that is between this plasma membrane and nucleus, there is a jelly-like substance present. Okay, there is a jelly-like substance is present, which we called as cytoplasm. Now, just few minutes ago, I had mentioned one term that is protoplasm. And now I'm mentioning the second term which is similar, okay, to this protoplasm, that is cytoplasm. Then what is the difference between two? Okay. See, so this jelly-like substance which is present between the plasma membrane and nucleus, this is your cytoplasm. So, what is the difference between cytoplasm and protoplasm? Yes, actually, this cytoplasm is fluid-like material or fluid-like matrix present between plasma membrane and nucleus. Okay, actually, like it is a content which is present between this plasma membrane and the nucleus. Okay, if I talk about this protoplasm, so it is the living content of cell. You are not getting it, na? Just wait. I will tell you how they are different. See, in cytoplasm, now this cytoplasm include all the cell organelles except your nucleus. Okay, here the nucleus is not involved. Okay, so it includes all cell organelles except nucleus. Okay, but here if I talk about protoplasm, okay, so it include your cytoplasm, nucleus, and other organelles. So this is the difference. In simple term, inside this cytoplasm is all the protoplasm except your nucleus. Okay, it do not involve nucleus. Okay, but protoplasm is your this nucleus, your cytoplasm, which is enclosed by your plasma membrane, and it include all the other organelles as well. So it is the living content. Okay, so what is the difference between two? Your protoplasm include everything, right? It is a living part, but in your cytoplasm, nucleus is not present. Okay, this is the difference. And so what I was saying, like here you will observe this jelly-like matrix is present, okay, or fluid-like matrix is present. And in this matrix, all the other organelles are present, and this matrix is known as cytoplasm. So in cytoplasm, you will observe all the organelles is present other than nucleus. The nucleus is not present here, okay? So it includes your other organelles like mitochondria, okay? It includes your other organelles like Golgi. We will discuss about it one by one, okay? We will cover all these organelles and other organs. So this is the difference, okay? Now, I will show you the animal cell and plant cell in 3D, okay? Mm, Just give me a second. Okay, so now I'm going to show you this animal and plant cell in 3D, okay? So this is, first let's see the plant cell, sorry, animal cell. Yes. So this is our animal cell. Okay. This is our animal cell. And here you can see this, this pink line boundary. Okay. This is our plasma membrane. Can you see? This is our plasma membrane. Okay. And this in the center, this spherical structure is our nucleus. Okay. So as I told you, like inside the cells, there are various components. Okay, and various compartments are present, and each compartments are specialized to perform their specific function. Okay, and we call this compartment as organelles. Okay, so this nucleus is one of these organelles. So here in this model, you can see these different compartments. So this is our nucleus. This is one compartment, and here you can see this. Okay, so this is your another compartment, that is your Golgi, and here you can see this and endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, and this is our mitochondria. So these are different organelles which is present inside the cell, and we are going to discuss about this organelle one by one. Okay, so this is our animal cell. So here you can see here that this plasma membrane is the outermost covering of the cell in case of animal. Okay, but if I talk about the plant cell, okay, yes. So here you can see See, this dark green is your cell wall, and this light green which is present, it is your like this. Now you can see this dark green is your this is your cell wall. Okay, and inside this cell wall there is one more layer. This is your cell membrane. Okay, so this is the difference. Okay, in plant cell you will see an additional layer outside the cell membrane, that is outside the cell membrane, that is your cell wall. Now here also inside the cell you can see there are various compartments are present that we called as cell organelles. So we will discuss about these organelles one by one. Right now, I hope this is clear to all. Hmm. So we will start from this cell wall. Then we will talk about plasma membrane, and after that nucleus and so on. Okay. So now cell wall. As I told you, like in plant and in some other organism, there is additional layer which is present outside the cell membrane, that is known as your cell wall. And I have already mentioned that it is dead. Okay, it is the dead part. Okay, dead part. And if it is dead, it means it will not involve in your protoplasm, because I told you like protoplasm is a living part of the cell. Okay, right? And this is non-living and rigid structure. Rigid means it is non-flexible. It is not flexible. Okay, and it is the outer covering of the plant. See, not only in plant, but there are some other organisms as well. I will tell you. Okay, in which the cell wall is present. And if I talk about plant, so in plant it is made up of cellulose. It is a form of carbohydrate, right? So it is made up of cellulose, and it lies outside the plasma membrane, as I already told you. Now, what is the function? If I talk about the function of cell wall, so this thing, just remember one thing, like why it is present in plants, why it is not present in animal cell? Because see, the plant cannot move, right? Even like when there is very heavy rainfall or when very strong wind blows, even in that condition also, plants remain stand in their original position, right? So, who is providing the strength in that condition? That is the cell wall. The cell wall actually provides the strength. Okay, so that's why it is present in plant, but not in animal, because the plant cannot locomote. Okay, plant have to face all this adverse environment. So, plant requires the support, and who provides the support? This structural strength actually provided by this cell wall. Okay, so this cell wall, what it do? It actually protect the plant cell or protect the cell against any or from any mechanical damage. So it protect the cell from mechanical damage, right? And some other type of stress as well. Okay. So this is the function of your plant cell. So first thing, it provides the structural strength, and it also maintains the shape of the cell. It also maintains the shape. Okay. So this is the function of a cell wall. Now let us see in which organism this additional layer is present. Okay. So if I talk about bacteria, in bacteria your cell wall is present. Okay. And it is in bacteria, it is made up of a compound that is known as peptidoglycan. And in plant, yes, in plant also this cell wall is present, and in plant it is made up of cellulose. Okay. Now, if I talk about fungus, yes, in fungus also this cell wall is present, and it is made up of chitin, right? But if I talk about this animal and virus, so in animal and virus, this cell wall is absent, right? So now you know like why in plant only or why in these organisms only the cell wall is present. So if I talk about plant cannot locomote. Okay, plants remain fixed at their original position, right? No matter what is the condition, what is the weather. Okay, so that time who provides the support? This cell wall provide the support. Okay, so if this cell wall is like a Z plus security. Okay, in plant, it is like the your Z plus security. This is the additional very strong security. Okay. Yes. Now moving to the next, that is our plasma membrane. So as I told you, like in case of animals, okay, the outermost covering of cell is your plasma membrane. Okay. In case of animal cell, the outermost covering is your plasma membrane, or it is also known as your cell membrane. Right. Now what is the function? Obviously, it is a protective covering. It protects the cell from the external environment or what separate the content which is present inside, like whether it is your cytoplasm, your nucleus, and other organs. So, what it do? It separates the content which is present in the cell from the outside or from the external environment, right? Now, if I talk about the composition of plasma membrane, so it is made up of two molecules. One is your lipid, another one is your protein. And this lipid is actually present in the form of bilayer. Okay, that you will study in higher grade. This model, fluid mosaic model. Okay, so it is present in bilayer. Okay, like this. So lipid is present in the form of bilayer, and here you will observe the protein is embedded here in this lipid bilayer. Okay, like this. The proteins are embedded. Okay. Now, this plasma membrane is actually selectively permeable. That's why it is also known as selectively permeable membrane. Okay. So, what is the meaning of selectively permeable? Yes. See, there are some people who are very selective. Okay, who are very choosy. Okay. So similarly, our plasma membrane is also very selective. Okay. So now we know like molecules, there are some molecules which can pass the membrane and enter inside the cell. Okay. But not all molecule can do this. Okay. Why? Because our membrane is selectively permeable. It means it allows the entry, it allows the, suppose this is your cell and outside various molecules are present. Okay. So various molecules are present. So what this plasma membrane do? Plasma membrane allow the entry and exit of only certain molecules, not all molecules. Okay. That's why I'm saying like our plasma membrane is selectively permeable. Okay. Because it allow the entry and exit of only selective molecules. Okay, that's why I'm saying like it is selectively permeable. Okay, it is selective. Now, moving on to the next part, that is our nucleus. Okay. So if I talk about this nucleus, actually, this nucleus is also known as the controlling center of our cell. Why? Why we are saying it as a controlling center? Because inside this nucleus are genetic material, that is DNA is present. Okay. So if I talk about this nucleus, nucleus is a double membrane bound organelle. Okay. It is a double membrane bound organelle. Double membrane means here two membranes are present. One is the outer membrane and one is the inner membrane. Okay. But this this nuclear membrane is actually interrupted by the minute pores that we known as the nucleopore. Okay. So this nuclear membrane, as I already told you, like this is a double membranous bound organelle. Our nucleus is double membranous organelle. Okay. And sometimes this nuclear membrane is also known as nuclear envelope. Okay. So this is a nuclear membrane and it is interrupted by minute pores that we known as nucleopore. Okay. Hmm. So this is a nuclear membrane, and this nuclear membrane is also known as nuclear envelope. Okay. Now, as I told you, this nuclear membrane is interrupted by the minute pores that we known as nucleopore. So why it is present? See, this through this nucleopore, what happened? These substances can be exchanged between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Okay, so it allows the exchange of material between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Right now, if you look inside the nucleus, you will observe there is again there is a jelly-like material present inside the cell. Okay, jelly-like material present inside the cell. And this jelly-like material which is present inside the nucleus, sorry, not inside the cell, inside the nucleus, okay, this jelly-like substance which is present inside the nucleus is known as nucleoplasm. Is known as nucleoplasm. Okay. Now, in the center of this nucleus, you will observe a small spherical structure. Okay. Although it's a part of your nucleoplasm, it do not have any separate boundary, but you will observe there is a region inside this nucleus, this region in the center. That is your nucleolus. Okay? And here, in this nucleoplasm, our genetic material is present, like this. Okay? And that is our DNA in the form of chromatin. I will tell you like what is chromatin or not. Okay? So in the form of chromatin it is present. Now, see, so this is the structure of our nucleus. See, the nucleus is enclosed by or it is surrounded by actually two membrane, outer and inner membrane, right? And you will see like the membrane is interrupted by the minute pore that we known as the nucleopore. Okay, and it allows the entry and exit of the material. Okay, it allows the exchange of the material between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. And in the center, you will see a region. Okay, although this region is not surrounded by any membrane, but you will see there is a region that is known as nucleolus. Okay, and this nucleolus is the site where your rRNA synthesis takes place. that you will study in higher grade, right? And in this nucleoplasm, you will observe one more thing, that is your genetic material, that is DNA, okay? But it is present in the form of chromatin. See, now here you can see the full form of DNA. What is DNA? Deoxyribose nucleic acid. That is our genetic material. Has all the information, okay? All the genetic information is present in this molecule. Okay, so like organisms' appearance, their function, and their development, all the activities are basically controlled by this DNA. Okay, that's why I'm saying like nucleus is the controlling center, because inside the nucleus our genetic material is present which has all the information. Okay, see, like if I talk about the color of our eyes, okay, so it is actually this also is regulated by the information which is present in DNA. Okay, so the color of eye, your uh, texture of your hair, and everything is basically regulated by this DNA. Okay, so now you will observe that in that there is two terms. Okay, one is your chromatin, another one is your chromosome. We often confuse with these two terms. Okay, so what is chromatin and chromosome? See, if in non-dividing cell you will observe, I'll just remove that. If so, suppose this is the cell which is not dividing at this time. So this is a non-dividing cell. So in non-dividing cell, our DNA, our DNA is present in very elaborative form, or we can say like it is scattered. Okay, it is scattered in the nucleus like this. Okay, it is a thread-like structure. So it is present in this form, scattered form, like this. Okay. But when cell enter in cell division, so this scattered form of DNA, this scattered form of DNA is known as your chromatin. Okay, this scattered form of DNA is your chromatin. Okay, but when cell enter in their cell cycle, then what happens? Our chromatin get condensed. Okay, and they form a compact structure. Okay, and gain a particular shape like this. They become very compact and they form this shape. So this is our chromosome. This is your chromosome. Okay. So this chromatin is actually, see, when the cell not divide at that time, this our genetic material is present in the form of entangled mass of thread. Okay. And this entangled mass of thread is known as chromatin. Okay. So this is the extended form, right? But when cell enter in their cell cycle, at that time this chromatin get condensed and they form a compact structure, that is your chromosome. Okay, it is highly coiled and compact. So this is the difference between two. And this chromosome, you will observe this chromosome only during the time of cell division. Okay. So this chromatin is actually scattered form of DNA, right? And this chromosome is highly coiled and condensed form of DNA. So, okay. Okay, so this is the difference. And this chromosome only appear during appear only or visible only during cell division. Okay, right? So this is the difference. So now here you will see. Yes. So this, as I told you, like it is the controlling center. Why? Because inside the nucleus our DNA is present, and in DNA all the information of an organism is present, whether the appearance and everything. Everything is regulated by this DNA, right? And like what is gene? See, inside our DNA, like there are n number of genes are present, around 25,000. Okay, there are large number of genes are present. So what is gene actually? This gene is the functional segment of DNA, okay? Or we can say it is a unit of inheritance. So the gene is the functional segment of DNA, which regulates cell function, functional segment of DNA. Okay? So, which regulate, so it contains DNA, which is deoxyribonucleic acid. The DNA consists of large number of genes, okay, which regulate cell function and inheritance. And as I told you, like in non-dividing cell, the DNA is present in the form of scattered form of DNA, a scattered form that is your chromatin. And when the cell is about to divide, the chromatin material get organized or they become condensed into chromosome. Okay, so this is the difference. Now, see, I want to show you 3D view of the nucleus, 3D diagram of nucleus. Just give me a second. Uh, yes. So here, this is our nucleus. Yes. So here you can see this is our nucleus, right? Yes. So this is the nuclear envelope or nuclear membrane, which is actually a double membrane, okay, outer and inner membrane. And this nuclear membrane is interrupted by your minute pores that is known as nucleopore. Okay, it is also known as nuclear pore. Okay, and inside the, as I told you, like inside this nuclear membrane, the fluid-like or the jelly-like matrix is present that we known as nucleoplasm, right? And inside the nucleoplasm, your two things are present. One is your nucleolus. So this is the nucleolus. Here the RNA is synthesized and assembled. Okay. And this is a fibers or thread-like structure which is present inside the nucleoplasm. Okay. And this is a genetic material basically. What we call them chromatin. These fibers are coiled and condensed to form chromosome. Okay. So this is the structure. right? So next, now the next part, that is other organelles and this differences between prokaryote and eukaryote and other organelles, that we will discuss in the next webinar. Okay, so thank you so much and see you in the next webinar. Goodbye.